You think you got all the tools picked out that we need for this job?
Yeah.
What's that one called? That one there, what's it called? The end of it.
Torx bit?
Torx bit, there we go. So we're getting ready to do a job on that car. Let me tell you what we're gonna do. So it's an evening after work, and you can tell that by the way the sun's sitting in the sky right now, and I've got it that way behind us, so it's not whitening out the camera, but it yeah, it's in my eyes. So I have got here, you can see the ZZP on the box. It is a LHU. By those of you that don't know, the Regal head engine is an LHU Ecotech high flow intake, and obviously it's from ZZ Performance. So we're going to go through and install this, and on top of that, I know what kind of fuel mileage I get all the time in this car, and one of the things I'm after in doing the modifications I'm going to do to this car is obviously we want more power, because everybody wants more power, right? I mean, why not? The second thing I really want, which actually almost takes precedence over the more power, is I'm trying to improve my fuel mileage, because this is my work car, and I drive it about 80 miles a day when I go to work, and that's not counting when I go to college classes. So we're going to try and get more fuel mileage. So after I install this, I'm going to drive it for 2 weeks. I figure that's a good time. About 2 weeks of my normal style of driving that I do, and we're going to see if the fuel mileage changes any from what I'm used to getting. And today, being how it's after work, and I've got more help that I know what to do with again, so he's helping me pick out tools, and we're kind of teach him a thing or two about how to take stuff apart and install performance parts. So, all right, moving on.
Performance.
Okay, so first thing I need to do is take the old one out. So if anybody's ever changed an air filter, they know they got to take all these Torx screws out, and we know we're going to have to take off this electrical connector, which I'm going to pull that red part out right there. Use the old trusty pocket knife to push down on that, slide that off. And I'm going to have to take these out as well. And actually I might just end up cutting that, because it's just a tie wrap, which we're not going to be leaving that anymore. I got a set of pliers for that. So I'm going to cut this wire loose, and I'm going to take this lid off and take these off, and then we'll I got to take the map sensor out, and I'll show you guys all that in here in a second, but we're going to go ahead and take this off and take the air filter out. Okay, I've got everything loose. I'm using a T20 Torx, and these band clamps here are a 7mm. I didn't know what they was because I told him to find the ones that fit, and he done a good job. So I've got my pliers, and I'm going to cut this tie wrap right here. Somebody beat me to cutting that tie wrap, and then there's another tie wrap back there that I'm going to cut. Nope, that one slid right out. We'll leave that be then. Okay, set those right there. Top of the engine makes a good tool tray. So with that being done, so now that one's not out all the way. There we go. So now I'm going to lift that up. I've got this loose, so I can slide that right off of there. So there's the top of your air box. We won't need that again for a bit. Okay, now this right here is the mass airflow sensor, and that's not slipping out like I wanted it to. Is that right there? Maybe there we go. Okay, we're going to need that in a second. I'm going to set that there. Okay, the air filter we're not going to need anymore, even though I just put that on a few months ago. We'll hang on to that with the air box in case I have to put it back on for some reason or another, and I don't see why that would be. And then what holds this down, if anything? I think that just kind of pins in place. Man, that'd be it. Look at that. It just popped right out of there. Okay, that's gone. That was easier than I thought. Okay, so I've got this popped off already, and that is, oh shoot, crankcase pressure ventilation. Yeah, I knew what that was. So it comes off the back of the valve cover here, and this has got a little valve here. I popped that off already. I didn't show you guys that. So now there is one more bolt down there that's hard to get to, and that should also be a 7mm. And I have got a nice big long extension. I'm hoping I can get it with that real easy. Like, let's find out here. So if I get down there, look at that, I'm right on it. So I should be able to loosen that up. And is that enough to do it? I'm also wondering if there's anything else holding it there. Nope, that should be it. It's coming right up. Here we go. Okay, and there's your intake tube. So now that is all the stock parts that need to come back, that need to come off. So I'm gonna round up my other parts that we need to put back on, and I'll get right back with you. Okay, so what the instructions will tell you to do is to put that silicone boot down there first. But because this is going to be hard to get to whenever I get down in here, and that one's easier with an extension, I'm getting this lined up, which I've been test fitting it with this loose, and kind of stick it down in there and set it on the inlet of the turbo and pull this down, and it's going to rub against that one line right there the way this is. And I put the little clip piece they sent right here, and there's a bolt right here that will go through this and thread into that piece once it's lined up properly and hold it in place. So now I'm pretty confident that my boot's lined up where I want it to, or at least where it's got some flexibility, because it is a silicone boot. So I'm going to pull that back out of there, and I'm going to tighten down this strap here. That way I don't have to get back a hold of that one again. Okay, that's tight. Also, to mention, there's the map sensor put in the right way. If you look through there, which you guys may not be able to see it quite, but you can see the opening of that sensor is where it's supposed to be, because this is the inlet side. And that plug, I put some oil around that O-ring, and I actually cut that bolt shorter, and then I put some Loctite in there when I put that in, because I don't have the sensor that needs to go there. So that is in there, and like I said, I installed the O-ring with oil to keep from tearing it, because that is machined aluminum surface there. So now I'm going to take this and stick it down in there and put it back on the inlet of the turbo. And so there's that. And I'm going to take this bolt and I'm going to stick it in here, and I'm going to try and line this back up. It fell down off the hole on me. There it is. Okay, so there's that. Okay, now I have to get the right socket for that to finish tightening that up, but that's there. So now that I've kind of got that in place, and that boot is all the way on the inlet of the turbo, and I know you guys can't see it, but I can see it that it's there. So now I can take my extension and my socket. I'm going to turn that band a little bit. I got a little too tight. So I'm not quite on it straight here, but I might be enough to loosen it up some, because it's not really tight and snug yet. And then I can turn that band back. Well, that didn't work like I wanted it to. I'm going to take it back off for a second. Yay. Okay, got my band turned a little bit more. Found the socket that fits that. So now I'll set that down in there like so. Take my long extension and get directly over top of the hose clamp. Turns out I can actually turn that a little more, I think, right about there. Yep. Okay, so now I made it up to the turbo where I want to be. So now I'm gonna Okay, and that band clamp is tight. And now I'll put this bolt in here like I had it before, get it started. Okay, and there's that. By the way, that's a 10 millimeter. I know nobody's making a surprise face right now. And the strap nuts, the new ones that they send, are an 8 millimeter head on my long extension there. So just about got that towards it. Now I can handle it a little bit. I'm gonna push it down just a fuzz like that. Tighten that up. Now that's just one of them little sheet metal nuts, so I got to be careful not to put too much kibosh on it, but I want to make sure it's tight. So there's that. Notice it's just mounted this piece of sheet metal, but it's a solid enough mount. And then this piece I'll slip over and snap that on, so that's done. And now we've got this, which I'm going to send down underneath like so, and set that on, and that clips on. I'll push the red piece in, and then I've already pulled this out of the box. Show you guys there. And now cold air intake right here beside the engine. See how much of that you believe cold air intake. And maybe later we take some time to make some shielding that I can mount to different stuff here, because there is an air inlet here straight out of the bumper. I think if I could shield this, it would get better cold air, so that might be something we do in the future. Okay, and so that is also 8 millimeter. And there we go. That's tight on there. Okay, so now I know what everybody's worried about right now is what's it sound like when it runs with that on there? Does it make any difference? Because that's what I was thinking. I'm wondering, well, can I hear the turbo more? And by the way, extra parts for different models, something like that. So what we will do is I'm gonna wipe my hands off here. You know, don't want a mechanic in the car with dirty hands. And then I'm going to go in there and start the car, and we're going to see what it sounds like. Okay, so final thoughts here are, really the only issue I had was that bolt was a little long, and I had to cut it and file the threads on it and make it to where it fit down in there without bottoming out. Outside of that, everything else was bolt right on the way it's supposed to be. So the instructions were kind of okay. It mentions a fuel computer, which I'm pretty sure my model doesn't have, because it says it should be on the firewall, and I don't see anything like that. So I guess maybe that could be a little clear, but it wasn't terrible. If you're mechanically inclined at all, finding the mounting location for this, once you set it on the silicone boot where it belongs, it's not hard to figure out. And then the instructions did show that little clip, so, and it's pretty solid in there now. I mean, just as solid as anything on the engine. I mean, you can move it, but it's on this little flimsy bracket, but it ain't going anywhere. I thought, now maybe it's just because I had the hood open, I thought I could hear the turbo blow off a little bit better. That may be because the hood's open, that might be because of the cold air intake. Of course, when I start the car and it's warming up, it opens the blow off valve and then closes it once it warms up or gets under load. So I guess now I need to drive it for a couple weeks, and we'll talk about what I find after that, and more importantly, we're going to see if it adds any fuel mileage. So I'm going to reset my fuel mileage, and then I'm going to drive it like normal for 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks I'll tell you if I picked up mileage or anything else I noticed. That way this is a good review. I think 2 weeks is okay. If you guys think it ought to be different, let me know, and maybe I can give you a better review later after having it longer than that if you require. Mention a time frame below in the comments, and then I'll shoot my thoughts after that time frame as well on a separate, maybe a short or something like that, and we'll give you guys the information. So yep, next time I see you, it'll be 2 weeks from now. So it's been 2 weeks since I done the air intake on the car, and we was gonna see what kind of mileage change it made a difference. I've not changed my driving habits any. I do a lot of highway driving, most of it highway driving, but I still drive in town some, and so nothing really changed. It was all the same. Before I was getting 25 miles to the gallon, and now I'm getting 26.5 with just changing the air intake. So I gained 1.5 miles per gallon, and I know a lot of people is gonna give me a hard time about this, but I run 87 in the car. I know turbo car shouldn't run 87. I don't have any misfires, and most of mine is highway driving, so I've been running 87, and I get 26.5 miles to the gallon. So maybe I would get more if I ran a higher octane, and after a few more changes, maybe I'll have to go to a higher octane. We'll see, because I got other plans for the car. So matter of fact, we're here at the garage today, and I'm about to do something else and drive it for another 2 weeks and see what kind of change it makes. So you guys have to wait to see that video. So there's the info. If you guys like this video, hit that subscribe, and oh yeah, Kagan's here today.
No, it's just going to be a work car. We're not going to modify it. We're not going to do anything else.
I'm still waiting for him to do something with that one, but anyway.
No, it's a work car. We're not going to modify it. We're not going to do anything else.
So we'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching.